Welcome to Nick's Adventrex. Today we are driving around the whole loop of Lake Tahoe. We're starting in South Lake Tahoe at the intersection known as the Y, where California 89 and US 50 merge. We'll be making a right onto US 50 with an easterly heading, and as we make our way around the bottom portion of the loop, we'll start to head north on US 50. The whole drive is a little over 70 miles and takes about 2 hours by car. Along the way, I'm going to be calling out some of Lake Tahoe's points of interest. Go get some popcorn and let's explore Lake Tahoe together. So, again, we are in South Lake Tahoe, and we'll be making our way all the way around the lake to end up where we started. The road that we're at right now, Tahoe Keys Boulevard, takes you to the Tahoe Keys Marina where you can rent a boat. On the left is the hangar, and they are a craft brew specialty bar. And they sometimes have food trucks. And coming up here on the right, this is a brewery. I think it's called Coldwater Brewery. On the right, we're passing by Al Tahoe Boulevard, which takes you to the South Lake Tahoe Police Department and the local college, Lake Tahoe Community College. The Lake Tahoe Historical Museum is coming up on the right. On display are various artifacts from Lake Tahoe's history. And coming up on the left is Lakeview Commons. There's a little amphitheater. Sometimes they have festivals and live music over there in the summer months. And this right here is one of the few times that Highway 50 is right against the lake in South Lake Tahoe. It's a perfect day to do this too because the high is going to be low 70s. Should be a beautiful day to drive around the lake. On the left, we're about to pass by a tiny shopping center located on the shore of Lake Tahoe. Here, there's a wonderful wine bar called the Idle Hour with spectacular unobstructed views of the lake. At this intersection, on the left, is Heidi's, which is a great, awesome place to get breakfast and brunch or lunch. I don't think they're open for dinner, but the whole restaurant, its motif is the Swiss Alps. It's really cute. It's an awesome place. This intersection right here is Ski Run Boulevard. You make a right, you can take that up to get to the Heavenly Ski Resort. We're passing the Pioneer Trail intersection. Pioneer Trail takes you to the whole residential neighborhood, the major residential neighborhood of South Lake Tahoe. On the right is the Rayleigh Shopping Center and Sports Limited, great place to buy ski equipment and clothing. And again, on the right, we are passing by the shops at Heavenly Village. Here at Heavenly Village is the Heavenly Gondola, which operates year-round. In the winter months, transferring skiers and snowboarders to the mountain, and in the warmer months, dropping off visitors to various viewpoints and summer activities at the top. Right now we are in the heart of the casino district of, we've just passed the state line, so now we're in Nevada, and now we're in the heart of the casino district of South Lake Tahoe. And on the right is...
Welcome to Nevada.
I think that's Harvey's and that's Harrah's. And then coming up, yeah, Harvey's, Harrah's. And just past Harvey's is the Hard Rock. This casino on the right is called Bally's, but just a few months ago it was the Mont Bleu. And the building that is just beyond the Bally's sign there, this is all new construction as well. I believe it's going to be an arena capable of hosting large sporting events. If you were to run the Lake Tahoe Half Marathon Rock Tahoe, this is where you would end. You'd come down this road, Highway 50, make a left over there by the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, and the finish line ends up in the Hard Rock's parking lot. Right now we are coming up to the intersection of Nevada 207 on the right, which takes you over Kingsbury Grade into the Carson Valley, which is usually how I come into South Lake Tahoe and how I exit South Lake Tahoe. great beach during the summertime. And they do have a bar there, so you can like buy food and alcoholic drinks right there on the beach. Zephyr Cove on the right is another beach where they have a very large cruise. Oh, it's there. I forget the name of it. I want to say it's the Dixie Queen or something like that. But you can take a cruise on that. I've done that before as well. And they take you across the lake over to Emerald Bay. Coming up on Cave Rock. And also the turnoff for where you access the Cave Rock hiking trailhead. So coming up here on the right, where this Jeep SUV is wanting to make a left right there. If you were to drive up there, you would get to the Cave Rock trailhead parking lot. And directly in front of us is Cave Rock. To the left is the entrance to Cave Rock State Park, which is a Nevada state park. And I made a video on that as well. Cave Rock, very sacred to the Washoe Native tribe, indigenous people of Lake Tahoe. And also, when you run the Rock Tahoe Half Marathon, you get to run through one of these Cave Rock tunnels. And just beyond Cave Rock, north of it, coming up here on the left, is Logan Shoals, which is a great place to park and take in some incredible views of Lake Tahoe. And this sign right here, Vista Point ahead, that is drawing attention to Logan Shoals. Logan Shoals is coming up right here on the left. There is a pull-out where you can park. I've been there before as well. It's just stunning, the views that you have of the entire lake. We're now headed away from the lake. We're headed east up Highway 50. This, if you were to take it all the way to its end, takes you into the Carson Valley. This is the road you take to get to Spooner Summit. To the left, up there on the hill, you can see a bunch of logs, cut logs lying on the side of the hill. That's part of the old Flume Trail. And they were trying to get out logs over to Virginia City to build for the Comstock load. So if you can just imagine running a half marathon, and the beginning of it, you get to run down this hill. Because let's face it, running downhill is much easier than running uphill. So it really is. It's a fun marathon. It's a fun half marathon to do. I don't want to say it's easy, because running a half marathon to me isn't easy. But if I had to pick a half marathon, sorry marathon people, I know there's a difference between marathon and half marathon. But if I had to pick any half marathon, this would be the one to do. Not only you have the beautiful views of Lake Tahoe, but the majority of the race is downhill. Alright, coming up, this is where we exit 50 and turn left onto Nevada 28 to continue driving around Lake Tahoe. Further up 50 is the Spooner Summit, the actual spot. Alright, so back to the Rock Tahoe half marathon, and that parking lot over there is where the official race starts, the official start of the race. There's Cave Rock, which is in South Lake Tahoe, Nevada State Park. There's Spooner Lake, Nevada State Park, kind of middle of Lake Tahoe. And then there's also Sand Harbor, which is near Incline Village on the north side, the northeast side of Lake Tahoe, which we'll be driving by very shortly. See? Sand Harbor, 8 miles. This side of Lake Tahoe's northeast shore is pristine and virtually untouched by human development, mainly because of an eccentric millionaire from the early part of the 20th century. That man is George Whittell, whose story deserves a whole video to himself, but I'll keep it short here. He bought almost all of Tahoe's east shore from the water to the top of the mountains. Over the years, some of his property was sold here and there, but a large chunk of it he held on to, untouched, till the day he died. Much of this land has come into the hands of the state of Nevada through various conservation efforts. Land that is off limits to development and is so that it may be enjoyed by all and not turned into private property, unlike much of Tahoe's private beaches. Amid this expanse of Nevada's pristine East Tahoe shoreline lies but one structure, and that is George Whittell's residence, the Thunderbird Lodge, which is now owned by the nonprofit Thunderbird Preservation Society. It is open to the public for docent-guided tours by taking a shuttle bus from Incline Village. It can also be rented for private events such as weddings. And I will point out the access road to get to the Thunderbird Lodge, which is a private road, and the only way that you can get there is if you are having yourself a private event there, or if you're going on a tour. And when you go on a tour of the Thunderbird Lodge, you actually have to park, I believe, at the Incline Village Visitor Center, and then you take a shuttle bus to get to the Thunderbird Lodge. Along Highway 28 here, a lot of people like to park during the warmer months because there are hiking trails where you can hike down and enjoy some really beautiful secluded beaches. One of those beaches is Chimney Beach, I believe, and then there's another one called Secret Cove, which is not so secret. Most people know that Secret Cove is the nudist beach here in Lake Tahoe. I have been there. I have not been nude there. Okay, coming up here on the left, if you look up on the hill in the trees, you can see the guard shack for the Thunderbird Lodge. And right here on the left is the driveway to get there. And as you keep driving up 28, there's another access road on the left where you can park and walk down to the beach closest to the Thunderbird Lodge. Right here on the left. I don't know if the GoPro is going to pick it up, but the Thunderbird Lodge is right down there in that cove, right on the water. It's really, I can see it just over my shoulder, so hopefully you guys will be able to see it too. Really spectacular place. You really should go visit. There's a tunnel that goes from the main house to the boathouse. So then this tunnel was drilled into, if you know anything about the Lake Tahoe geology, it's just, there's granite all over the place. These mountains are made of granite, so they had to drill into massive granite boulders to create that tunnel. All right, coming up directly ahead of us is Sand Harbor, Nevada State Beach. This place gets super crowded in the summer, and if you don't get there early, you're not getting in. The parking lot usually fills up before 10 a.m. I love taking my little pop-up tent down there and sitting and relaxing, enjoying the view, watching the kayakers and the geese that try to beg from you for food. And they also have a stage in Sand Harbor. They have a yearly Shakespeare festival. Here on the left is the entrance to Sand Harbor. There's also a nice little museum in there, all about the geology and biology of Lake Tahoe. They have a food stand, and there's this beautiful walkway over here. You can see cyclists and people walking. That starts all the way in Incline Village and follows the shore of the lake, I believe all the way to Sand Harbor. This is another vista point where you can park, take in the views. Although it looks like a bunch of emergency vehicles are parked there right now. I'm not sure if that's the place where Artist Point is, but at some spot around here, off of that walkway that goes around the lake, there's a place called Artist Point. And if you're an artist, like I am, it's a great place to take a selfie. You might notice that there's been a lot of construction on this road, and I believe that has to do with redoing some of the drainage on the sides of the road to help protect the clarity and purity of Lake Tahoe. Well, I'm stuck at traffic control in Lake Tahoe, but it's really not that bad. Look at that view, aside from the occasional truck driving by. All right, gotta go. All right, now we're entering Incline Village and the residential neighborhood, and quite obviously these houses are multi-million dollars. All right, we are in Incline Village. There's a sign on the left, right here where the truck is making a left. And right on the right is that trail I was mentioning before. And back in the day, this area is where you would park to tour the Bonanza Ponderosa amusement park. Yeah, they used to have a amusement park up on the hill over there. I had gone there when I was younger as well, where you could do hay rides. They had an old Western set, like a recreation of Virginia City. And they also had a full recreation of the Ponderosa, the house estate of the Cartwrights itself. As I understand it, it's been torn down, which is sad. I think some of the buildings are still standing, but I don't know that for sure. In the winter months, you'll find me and my husband making a right here to take us to Diamond Peak Ski Resort, which used to be Ski Incline, which was where I learned how to ski. This is the main drag of Incline Village. Lots of shops, boutiques, restaurants. We're coming up to a roundabout here, just outside of Incline Village. If you were to continue going where that blue car went, that takes you over to Mount Rose Ski Resort, as well as can take you over the mountains into Reno. The next casino impacted spot of Lake Tahoe, we're now in North Lake Tahoe, still in Nevada, and coming up on the border where there's a bunch of casinos, including the old Cal Neva casino that I think was owned by, or partially owned by, Frank Sinatra. The Cal Neva Lodge and Casino has a very interesting past, but the Cliff Notes version of its history is that Frank Sinatra at one point owned more than a 50% share in it. It was the place that Marilyn Monroe spent her last weekend alive, and the last person to buy it was Oracle billionaire Larry Ellison, who still owns it, but has yet to do anything with it. I thought somebody was trying to restore it, but it looks pretty dead to me.
Welcome to California.
We are now entering Kings Beach. Kings Beach has a connection to the aforementioned George Whittle,
Whittle and a man named Joe King were playing poker. King, a card shark, won the game, and as a result, some of Whittle's Tahoe land. That land is what we're driving through, King's Beach.
Again, this is another place in Lake Tahoe that I actually haven't spent much time at, if any. I really should change that. So on the right, if you were to take 267, that would take you into Truckee. If you're not familiar with Truckee, it is a beautiful little town.
Don't crash California. Extreme 5 danger. Be advised, there is a burn ban in the Tahoe National Forest. No fires of any kind allowed. This is KNEU 564. Caltrans Highway Advisory Radio message. There is a burn.
So that was AM 1610, which is obviously Caltrans. Well, it may not be obvious because this is a little hard to understand them, but it's an automated recording letting you know things you need to be aware of. That would be the radio station to listen to for any type of chain control or highway closures. Garwoods, that's a good place to eat. I've never been there, but I've heard only good things about it. Beautiful view on the water. Okay, we're entering Tahoe City in North Lake Tahoe. Lots of shops, lots of dining over here. And they have a pretty big marina as well. Jake's on the Lake on the left. That's the parking lot for Jake's on the Lake. Gorgeous views for dining, but they are not open right now, so I can't go over there. There's also a really cool wine bar in that shopping center. One of the bummers about Lake Tahoe is a lot of places don't open for dining till noon or sometimes even till 3 or 4. We may not be dining right on Lake Tahoe, but we're going to be dining on the Truckee River very close to Lake Tahoe. I really like this place. It's very quaint and cool. Bridge tender. Oh dear. Maybe we won't be because there's no dogs allowed. I swear I've brought candy here before. Ugh, it's closed over there. All right, now I'm bummed. That's not gonna work. Well, if you don't have a dog and you want to come to a really cool little spot, the bridge tender is awesome. I guess I'm just going to keep going all the way around the lake because I do know for a fact that Aleworks, where I wanted to stop and end this drive, is dog friendly. So I'm just going to have to suffer in hunger. Well, the good news is we are more than halfway around the lake. Also, back there at that intersection that we just passed, where I made a left-hand turn to go to the restaurant and to continue on the road that goes around Lake Tahoe. If I hadn't made that left turn and if I kept going straight, that would have taken me to Alpine Meadows and the resort formerly known as Squaw Valley that just changed its name to Palisades Tahoe. More of Lake Tahoe resides in California, or maybe even 2/3 in California and 1/3 in Nevada.
Directly ahead of us, the large rock or cliff face is Eagle Rock, which happens to be a popular hike in Lake Tahoe.
We are now entering Tahoe Pines. So this stone wall that's on the left, this is the Fleur de Lac Estates. I think they've turned them into condominiums, but this was the filming location for the Corleone's estate in Lake Tahoe. There it is, Fleur de Lac. So, yet another filming location here. And just look at this stretch. So beautiful. Now we're entering the little town of Homewood. They have a ski resort here as well, which will be coming up on the right shortly. On the right is the Homewood Ski Resort. It's not a very challenging ski resort, as I understand it. I've never been there, but what it does offer is pretty spectacular views of the lake. There's another small little marina here at Homewood. If you haven't already figured out by all of the electronic signs, they are serious here in Lake Tahoe about burn bans, meaning absolutely no charcoal or wood fires. I don't even think they want you using your chimney. Chambers Landing, there's a driveway right there that we just passed. Chambers Landing is a great place to get a cocktail on a little pier over the water. Now we're entering the town of Tahoma.
If you're familiar with the Rubicon Trail, the town of Tahoma along Lake Tahoe's California side west shore is where the 22-mile off-road trail ends. It starts at Loon Lake near Georgetown, California on the western side of the Sierra Nevada.
Colorado County. Parking if you go in there, but if you don't want to pay for parking, there's a spot that I'm coming up onto. Right here, you could park on the right. A lot of people like to park here, so they don't have to pay for parking. But it's going to be a 2-mile walk down to get into the park, and keep in mind it'll be another 2-mile walk up to get back to your car. There, you can camp in there, but as with parking, I'm sure that there is a fee for camping overnight in the park. So we're starting to get really close to South Lake Tahoe again. Once you pass DL Bliss, heading south on 89, which is what we're on right now. I don't think I mentioned that before, but we're now back on 89. You start to head towards Emerald Bay, and the views are going to be spectacular. is Emerald Bay. Any of the cruises in South Lake Tahoe that you take is definitely going to take you into Emerald Bay. We're coming up on Vikingsholm's parking lot right here on the left. This parking lot is always crowded. If you plan to park there, you need to get there early. Very, very early. There's also beautiful places to take pictures of some of those boulders. So you park there and then you have to walk down about a mile to get to Vikingsholm. And then all the parking right here that we passed on the right takes you to Eagle Falls, which is another beautiful hike that I've done before. In fact, I did that with Gandhi. It was one of the first times we hiked with Gandhi and realized he does not like to hike. That's why we put him in a backpack. Perfect day to be out on a boat as well. Very little wind. In fact, if you plan on visiting Emerald Bay by car, I would suggest getting here early in the morning. Now, right now it doesn't seem to be that crowded, but that's because we're getting into the off season and fall. But every spot on the side of the road that doesn't have a no parking sign is crowded with parking spots during spring and summertime. Wow, my GoPro camera just quit. I had to pull off the side of the road to change batteries because I cannot miss this. This is the most spectacular drive here in Lake Tahoe. So, on the left is Emerald Bay, on the right is Cascade Lake, and directly in front of us is Lake Tahoe. And that part that we just drove right there is perhaps one of the most frightening pieces of roadway here in Lake Tahoe, but it's also one of the most spectacular. Which is one of the reasons why I chose to drive this route going counterclockwise, because driving that portion of 89 in the counterclockwise direction around the lake, it's most spectacular. I mean, it wouldn't be any fun if I had driven that going clockwise. You wouldn't have been able to see that view heading straight towards the lake. And the large mountain in front of us is Mount Talak. I've hiked up to the top of Mount Talak before. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but gorgeous, beautiful panoramic views of the lake at the top of that mountain. Anyway, beautiful view, again, of Lake Tahoe on the right. So, that road that we just passed to the right takes you to the Mount Talak trailhead, and to the left takes you to Baldwin Beach. And I believe Baldwin Beach is one of the few dog-friendly beaches here in Lake Tahoe. Specifically, South Lake Tahoe, because we are now in South Lake Tahoe. We're not far from where we started. There's also another beach called Kiva Beach, which is basically the neighboring beach to Baldwin Beach, which is also dog-friendly, and I have a video on that. Lake Tahoe Visitor Center to the left, and to the right is the road that takes you to Fallen Leaf Lake. And then there's, on the left is the Talak Historic Site. There's a lot of information about old families from the late 1800s, early 1900s that owned the houses and estate over there. All right, we have made it to Camp Richardson Marina. There's a lot of camping in this area. There's a beautiful restaurant right on the beach called the Beacon. They do have a Renaissance fair by Camp Richardson. They call their Renaissance fair Valhalla. I have visited that once before. That was a blast. this is the same intersection that we started at, the Y, where US 50 meets California 89. I'm going to make a left, and then I'm going to go into this shopping center right here at the corner and get a bite to eat at Tahoe Ale Works. So that was about 2 hours. I started this drive a little bit past 10 o'clock in the morning, and it is now 12:21.
Thanks so much for joining me on this drive around Lake Tahoe. If you learned something and found this video interesting, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel, Nick's Adventrex. Every subscription counts and helps to inspire further adventures. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.